Will the real Kamala Harris please stand up? The VP is reinventing herself on the trail and facing growing scrutiny for flip-flopping policy.
The Harris reinvention is in full swing. The New York Post covered labeling her a chameleon, and its editorial board says her campaign is working to recast her as a centrist, despite documentation of her past progressive policies. Another part of the strategy appears to be dodging the media.
The VP has now gone 22 days without a formal sit-down interview. Reporters are eager to ask her about her platform. We just don't know much about it, but it apparently includes an idea pulled straight from her opponent.
Raise the minimum wage and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
When I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips, people making tips.
Well, isn't that interesting? I wonder how she was able to come up with that idea all by herself. I wonder if she heard that idea about no tax on tips from another individual by the name of former President Donald Trump. Well, if you guessed that, you would be correct. Now we have a copycat wannabe, a copycat in chief, if you will, Kamala Harris. Interesting, right? Well, my friends, welcome to the show. J.R. Dukes at your service. I want to welcome all my free-minded friends. Thanks for joining me once again. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. If you would, hit the thumbs up button, please. Like, share, subscribe. When you hit the thumbs up button, it does help the algorithm and pushes the message of this channel out to more people so that the message can get out. This 2024 election is shaping up to be a very interesting election. It's definitely not an overstatement to say that this election is clearly, truly going to be one of the most pivotal elections in our lifetime. I think history will look back at this election and it will definitely be what we all think it's going to be, and that is one of the most important in our nation's history. We truly are at a crossroads, ladies and gentlemen, and we all must get the word out, and we all must get out to vote to make a difference. And at the center of this fight is current Vice President, wannabe presidential candidate Kamala Harris, a politician who has built her entire career on shifting sands. Right now, Kamala Harris is doing everything in her power to reinvent herself, to distance herself from her radical liberal past, and to present herself as a centrist. But let's be honest, this reinvention is nothing more than Kamala Harris trying to appeal better to the voters. I'm confident that the voters in general will see through this desperate attempt to lie to each and every one of us. We must all work to make sure the word gets out on this far left ideology that she and her running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, truly represents. I think the media is slowly understanding what's going on. They're always slow, let's be honest about it, especially the talking heads, what I've always called the legacy media. They may be slow to the game, but even they are starting to ask questions. Where is Kamala Harris? What are her new positions? Just today, the New York Post has came out with an interesting cover that calls Harris a chameleon. Now, that is just not catchy. It's also very accurate. As we've mentioned, her campaign is actively, right now as I speak, going through the entire internet trying to scrub every negative story about Harris and her running mate from the internet. She's attempting to repaint herself something she's not, and that is a moderate. But here's the truth. Kamala Harris is definitely no centrist. She's as far left as they come. Remember, when she was a senator, she was voted in the Senate as the most liberal senator. She is even considered far left of Bernie Sanders, and I believe that that description is very accurate. No amount of political spin, no amount of scrubbing the internet can change the facts. Speaking of facts, let's talk about those facts. Kamala Harris has flip-flopped on every major issue. I can't really think of any position she's taken in the last 3, 4, 5 years that she has not done a complete about face on. In a recent video, I talked about fracking. Remember fracking, right? Very important to each and every one of us, especially if you put gasoline in your car. Remember, just before she became the vice presidential pick under Joe Biden, she was all over the TV stating she wants to end fracking. She wants to end all offshore drilling for oil. She wants to take the United States completely off of fossil fuels, something that cannot be done with our present technology. She was for it before she became vice president. She's been trying to achieve that goal while she has been vice president, and she definitely was for this before she even became the vice president. And of course now she's claiming, oh, I've changed my mind. I no longer support banning fracking. I made a video very recently pertaining to this exact subject. It's nothing but complete lies coming out of her mouth. And right now, she's basically hibernating. She's not doing any interviews whatsoever. So we cannot even really ask her the question, hey, what are your true policies and why the change? And what about healthcare? Harris has been for a long time a very, very staunch advocate of Medicare for all. This would have been a plan that would eliminate private insurance for millions of Americans. And now she's trying to backpedal, suggesting that she supports a more moderate approach. But ladies and gentlemen, we are not fools. The American people are not fools. We can see right through this political theater. Let's not forget about her brand new running mate, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, aka Tampon Tim. This is the same man that during the George Floyd riots hesitated to bring in the National Guard. His decision not to act, his indecision caused businesses and business owners their livelihood. And his policies, I would argue, have driven Minnesota even further to the left. Kamala Harris and Tim Walz currently form the most radical liberal ticket that has ever been on the ballot for president, vice president of the United States. And folks, that's not hyperbole. That is the gospel truth. These people are not just liberal, they are radical liberal. Harris's record speaks for itself. From supporting the Green New the Green New Deal, to advocating for open borders. She recently said that when it comes to crossing the border, she wants to reduce it from being a crime to what she calls a civil infraction. She has consistently positioned herself on the far extreme left. And yet now, as she's got her eyes firmly set on the White House, she wants us to believe she's something that she is not. My friends, this is nothing but fraud, a fraud being perpetrated on the American people. But we know better. We know that if she wins, her administration will push the most radical agenda that this country has ever seen, and we cannot allow this to happen. And let's not forget the audacity of her campaign to try to erase history. They're working overtime to scrub videos, to scrub the internet, to scrub any and all statements that reveal her true beliefs, her true positions on a variety of subjects. But as you know, in this digital age, nothing truly disappears, and it definitely doesn't disappear from the internet. The evidence is out there, and it is damning. Harris is now plagiarizing former President Donald Trump. Donald Trump recently, I think it was June of this year, came out in the state of Nevada as he was giving one of his many speeches, and he said that he wanted to stop having tips being taxed the way that they're being taxed. In other words, he wants no tax on tips. And of course, in the state of Nevada, with all the casinos and the gaming and things like that, it is a very popular proposal. President Donald Trump even went into the backstory of how he was inspired to actually come up with that idea. And now this weekend, candidate Kamala Harris comes out and says, oh, I have a great idea. Why don't we eliminate any type of tax on tips? And the irony here, folks, is Kamala Harris is the one who cast the tie-breaking vote to put another 81,000 IRS agents out on the street and to go after all of the unreported tax on tips. It's insane. Absolute insanity. This woman thinks we're fools. It's a transparent attempt to co-opt the ideas of former President Donald Trump. The hypocrisy is staggering. So what does this mean for all of us? It means we have to be vigilant. We have to make an effort to explain to each and every American exactly who Kamala Harris is. This election is not just about choosing a president. It's about choosing the very direction of our country. Will we continue to go down a path of radical socialism? Will we return to the principles that have always made our country great? Kamala Harris may be trying her best to run to the center, but her record, a record that we have a lot of video documentation of, will always be there to betray her. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a radical, a liberal radical, plain and simple. No amount of reinvention, no amount of rebranding can ever change those facts. We must ensure that every voter knows the truth about Kamala Harris before they cast their ballot for this 2024 presidential run. My friends, I always appreciate you joining me. Let me know what you think about this video. Do you agree, disagree with me? Please take a minute, put it in the comments below. If you have any family members, friends, or otherwise that are suffering the dreaded disease of indoctrination, hey, that's what I'm here for. Please share this video with them. They need to hear the truth so they can make an informed decision for this upcoming election. I always do appreciate you taking time to hear what I have to say. It is truly an honor to spend a few moments with you. I always say keep that mind free, never give up. Until next time, my friends, I am J.R. Dukes.